Hey guys, Jambu here and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be covering some Division 5 level gameplay. I'm going to break it down, give you guys some tips, so if you're in Division 5, maybe you can follow some of these and make your way up through the ranks. Hopefully you enjoy it, and if you have any feedback, please do let us know. So the first thing I've noticed is the team. And for the most part, it's really good. However, a player like Werner at cam, not too ideal because he's not the best dribbler. Jesus out on the left isn't the worst because he can cut in. But again, not really a winger. He's not too meta due to his weak foot. But other than that, the team's very solid. He's got a good defense, two great CDMs. You just want to make sure that your cam is a nice agile player. You know, someone like an Ousmane Dembele, a João Felix on a cheap budget. They're perfect for that role. So just want to make sure that you guys get that right.
And here's the starting lineup for City. Jan Oblak gets the nod in goal. Ferland Mendy starts with Jesus Navas in the fullback positions. Federico Valverde plays.
So there's some really nice build up here, as you guys can see. He's nice and patient. He gets the ball into the middle. The one mistake he's going to make here, it might be a combination of two. So he's sprinting with Werner. And that's one thing. If you're going to play a pass, you want to make sure you're not still sprinting. But what he tries to do is force this ball in here. I don't know whether he's gone for a threaded through ball because it's definitely not gone at the right angle. It may be down to the fact he's sprinting. But if you're going to play one of these passes in behind, you just want to make sure that you don't force it. So we'll let that play back. It's really great build up here. He, gets into this position very well. But then he sprints with Werner and then forces the pass. He had more time than that. He didn't need to play that ball. So some really nice play again here. And he gets himself into a really nice position. What he's going to do is he tries to force the shot. Blocks are very strong on this game. Like the AI defending as well is very strong. You cannot shoot through players. What you need to do here is have your head up and just try and look for a pass. You've got an option out here, this guy, maybe like a drag back skill move. Try and find one of these guys here. You have different options. You don't need to force the pass. He gets a lucky break as well, and he just slashes at the ball. What you want to do is just be looking up and, seeing what options you have. He has this player here to make a pass, and then from that angle, there's a good chance that he could go on and hit a finesse shot maybe into the far corner. What he decides to do is rush the shot. Off balance on Aubameyang's weaker foot. It's not going to go down well. So just try and keep your head up around the box and don't panic. Try and find the clear pass for a good chance.
Cristiano Ronaldo. City move it forward with purpose. Pedro in the middle of things.
So this is an example of just overdoing it a little bit on the second man press. So the ball goes out wide, a nice ball from his opponent. He was actually switched on to this player here, but what he decides to do is switch off and try and second man press. And don't get me wrong, sometimes this can work. However, you don't want to get into a habit of just letting the AI defend for you, because you can see here, he's activated the second man press. You can see the little icon above his player's head. But it's not going to get tight enough to the ball for you quickly. And it's allowed Navas to have all the time in the world to whip in across. And then he has ended up scoring from it. So what you want to do here is make sure you're controlling this fullback and just manually press the ball. If you press him here yourself, there's not a lot he can do. He's not got any options on. If you get tight to him here, he won't be able to get that cross in. And crosses aren't even that effective. But if you let somebody just whip them in, eventually, something's going to come of it. So you just need to be a little bit more aggressive there. This one's just an example of some composure in front of goal. So it's some nice play again, and he gets into a really good position in the middle. Good dribbling with Son, cuts it back, and it's an amazing pass. What you have to do before you pull the trigger here is just look at where the goalkeeper's standing. He has got this near post covered. If you shoot into the far post here, there's a good chance it's going to go in. Slight chance that it gets blocked by this player here, but you've got a better chance than shooting it at the keeper. So you just want to look at where he's positioned and then base your shot there, because here it just gives him an easy save. This one's an example of getting counter-attack. So he loses the ball, and instead of tracking back with this guy's completely gone. Like, he's out the picture. You're not going to be able to interrupt the play here. He's got this clear pass right the way through. By now, you need to be switching to one of these guys and then bringing them back into this area here. You need to mark that through ball, because you're never going to be able to get in the way with the player he's controlling. And on this occasion, he gets away with it, but you need to make sure that you're using the right stick to switch to the furthest player's back to cover that space, because otherwise you're going to be in big trouble. This one's very unlucky, so I definitely don't want to be too harsh on it, but you just have to be a little bit quicker in the decision making. So this is some really nice play here, and what he does is he turns back. What you want to be doing is going into this space here, because then the defender is going to drag himself over as well, and it's going to give this player here a very good chance of moving in behind. So instead of going back and giving him time to react, you want to be pushing forward. And then once you get here, if you are going to do this, you need to do a first time pass into the player that's making the run. But I think the mistake was made before by turning back. If you've got the chance to go forward, you have to take it. So you can see the player that we're watching, he's dominating the possession, the shots, the expected goals, the passes. He's controlled this game. What's letting him down so far is just his decision making in and around his opponent's box, and then the final product in the finish. So the main thing so far is just, there's been a couple of times, you know, just look where the keeper's positioned and shoot in the opposite way instead of panicking, and then just decision making in and around the box, not rushing things and going forward when possible. And that has been the difference so far, because he's been the better player, he just hasn't taken his chances. So again, it's just some decision making around the edge of the box here. He does really well to keep the ball and fashion himself an opportunity. He's been getting into these areas very well, but once he gets here, that's where the mistakes come in. So he's got time with De Bruyne here. He's got no one really too on him. You know, he's got a bit of room to maneuver. But what he does is he tries a pass. It's almost a 180-degree spin that he has to make. You just want to make sure, especially if you've got the time, which he did here, that you turn first and then make that pass in there, and you're going to be able to find your player. But doing passes and rushing them on the turn, it's not very effective. So we're going to highlight this again. This is definitely the most common mistake that this Division 5 player has been making so far. Really nice build-up, you know. He's cut through his opponent's midfield. He'll get into this area, and he's got a good attack on here. You know, you've got a lot of different options. You can do a switch across the pitch pass here. You can turn and start making some ground down the line here. But what he decides to do is actually rush forward, and he plays a pass into his opponent's defender. You just need to keep your head up, you know. You can, instead of trying to force that pass through, you can even go back in order to go forward. So if you went to this guy here, you've then got a clear passing option, look, right the way to up here. So sometimes going back and taking your time is actually the route to go forward, rather than forcing an opportunity. Really nice goal here. This is a lot better play. So great build up. That's not been an issue for this player at all. What he does is he gets into this position and he keeps running and he waits. It may be a tiny bit early, but I'm not going to criticize something that ended up working. What I will say is, whenever you're in this situation, you want to wait until your player is literally in line with them here. So not offside, but just before they're going to go and overtake them. And, you know, on this occasion it worked. Maybe a tad early he played it, but it is still good play. A nice through ball, and then he gets in behind. So just waiting for the right moment to play the pass is the difference between scoring and not. So this example is just about committing to one player and making your challenge. You can see that he's using the second man press a little bit. He's using it a little bit here again. He's switching between players, not really making too much of a decision. You know, when your opponent's in and around your box like this, especially if he's not passing and he's just with one guy, just commit to one player and then go in for the challenge. If you're over switching, it makes it very difficult for you. And yes, his opponent gets very lucky with how this goes in, But if he just switches to one player here instead of switching, you know, multiple times, then his opponent's not going to get this chance. For example, just go into the centre-back right now. He can step in and make the tackle. But what he does is he ends up switching back to the other guy. And this is what is known in the scene as panic switching. You know, when they're in and around your box, it's the 86th minute. This can happen, you know. You're scared when your opponent gets around your box. But you just have to try and be composed, switch to the guy, step in and make the tackle and move on. Otherwise, this sort of thing can happen. It is an absolutely brilliant response, though, straight from the kickoff. Gets a little lucky there, tries to force the pass forward. However, he does get in. Brilliant finish into the far post. Fair play to him there. So the game did end in a 2-2 draw. Unfortunate, because the player's perspective we were watching, he dominated the game. He had more chances, more possession, more passes. Every key stat you can think of, he dominated. What let him down ultimately was his decision making in front of goal. You don't have to rush and be quick around the box, guys. Just take your time, be composed, and even if at first slowing down a bit, you know, does affect how you play, in the long term, just looking up and making those key passes, when you learn to do that, you're going to be a much better attacker. Defensively, for the most part, this player was fine. Maybe a little bit overdid the second man press at times and a little bit too much panic switching, but overall was solid. What let him down was not taking his chances. So I hope this helped you guys. This was the perspective of a Division 5 player. We're going to be covering every single division to help you guys improve. So if you have any feedback, please do let us know, and I hope you enjoyed.